what's been happening. What is the happy haps? Should we dish out a tap dancing tosser award tonight, guys? Have I got a doozy for you?
That's absolutely pathetic.
Okay, if you're not familiar with tap dancing tosser awards, what we do is we distribute these awards to people I think that they have exhibited their own cretiny to award-winning standards. A performance of Bellendry, if you will. Now, this week's one, we could have given it to Darren Grimes again. Couldn't we? Because he spent his bank holiday online suggesting his brother, who was in a photo with some people of colour on a boat, he suggested that he looked like he had just come over on a small boat. But then I realised there are women and children present. So he's got himself in a bit of trouble. We could have gone with Rylan Clark. Couldn't we? Who appears to want to turn mid-morning ITV into GB News. With a load of make-believe nonsense about asylum seekers and Talk TV talking points.
Here's the hotel. Here's the phones. Here's the iPad. Here's the NHS in reception of your hotel. And then there's people that have lived here all their lives that are struggling. Yeah. How can, if I turn up at Heathrow Airport as a British citizen and I've left my passport in Spain, I've got to stand at that airport and won't be let in. But if I arrive on a boat in Calais, I get taken to a four-star hotel. Four-star hotel. Four-star hotel.
Clark can now count Grimes and size 6 starlet of the far right, Tommy Robinson, as his political cohorts, as his new fans. I'm sure he must be very proud. Just as a side note, I was, I was saying the other day to some friends, like Rylan should be made, I think, a fitting punishment. Rylan should be made to explain to his friends and family what he would advise they do when it turns out that he has tacitly played a role in pulling us out of the ECHR and they all lose their weekends, annual leave and sick pay. I think he should be made to explain that. Well, here's what you do. Here's what you do when you just keep your head down. Well, they can't do that. Oh, they can. They can do it to you now. Oh, okay. He should be put in that position. You need to explain it, Rylan. I mean, you obviously know what you're talking about, right? The alternative would be that you're talking fucking shit, son. Still, if we do leave the ECHR and, as a result, your employer changes the terms and conditions of your contract, maybe if you do get really sick and you can't work and you deteriorate further, you get iller still, you're knocking on death's door, maybe the red cross that you painted on a mini roundabout could serve as an air ambulance landing pad, couldn't it? Like a sort of an SOS beacon on the mini roundabout there, or something. Nice one, Rylan. What am I supposed to do if I get sick? Well, maybe just go and paint a mini roundabout about it. So back to the tap dancing tosser award. Aid, stay on point. We could have gone with Rylan. We could have done Grimes. Elon Musk was in the news today suggesting that this asylum hotels verdict thing means that the Labour government are against their own people. Ooh. Or Trump, who seems to be on the way out. I actually think it's not outside of the realms of possibility that he may croak it now. And this time, his near-death experience, his brush with death, will probably not involve fake blood capsules and magically grown back ear cartilage. So it could have been any of those, any of the aforementioned. But no, tonight we recognise and celebrate Reform Councillor Mick Barton. Guys, what a winner. Look at him. Look at this bloody miracle. Mick Barton. He's the Reform Party's head of Nottinghamshire County Council, despite never having worked in a council before, let alone led one. But much like many of his cohorts, he didn't let the lack of experience, compassion, talent, charisma, knowledge, or suitability hold him back, and was instead propelled to the gaudy heights of bin collections and parish meetings by that other titan of conservative thought, Lee Anderson, himself a multi-recipient of the Tap Dancing Tosser Award. Barton, it says here on the BBC's news site, was a former coal mine worker. Okay, fine. It says he moved into being a car salesman after that. He has some experience with Mansfield District Council in 2003, but he concedes a county council and being head of it, is a very different beast. And this was in May. It says, as a newcomer to the council, some may naturally question whether Barton has the experience for such a big job. And then he replies, well, they'll have to judge me over the next 12 months, 24 months, or up to 4 years, he said. And like a lot of these reform types, he rode in on that Elon Musk doge obsessed ticket, right? You would have heard Richard Tice talking about doge. You would have heard, what's the other chap? Zia Yusuf talking about head of UK doge. And the whole thing is ridiculous. Like they like to pretend that they would be able to save $1 billion or two from taking down a few rainbow flags and shutting down diversity programs that never existed. That seems to be the modus operandi of this whole doge UK thing. Anyway, the reason that I remind you of that is because that whole doge thing, even in America, was misinformation. Musk said he was going to save 50 billion or so. It was definitely in the upper tens of billions. He said he was going to save, and he ended up saving a fraction of that, a real tiny percentage. Musk said it was all worth it because they had shut down research on things like transgender mice or something. But then it turned out that wasn't true either. None of it was true. And then the stuff that they had shut down, like the Federal Hurricane Coordination Response Body in Georgia, resulted in an uptick in hurricane-related deaths down that way because they weren't warning people quick enough, or too many people were maxed out, under-resourced. You get the idea. So the whole, isn't Doge amazing, or we should do that here, the whole thing is bullshit. It's made up numbers, and it is continuously even now, sold on the back of propaganda. To the extent that even the liar-in-chief, Donald Trump, was recently reported to have asked his staff about Elon Musk, so the whole thing was bullshit? That's apparently what he said. He's only just figuring out now that the guy who he put in charge of doging out the American public sector, that the whole thing was nonsense. That's even Trump. Even Trump is that sounds like bullshit to me. Finally picking up on it. So everyone knows it's rubbish. So, all of it's nonsense, and Musk, of course, the grand wizard of internet disinformation as owner of X, is also head of Doge, whom these guys seek to replicate or emulate. Anyway, now this week, getting back to the story that is powering the Tap Dancing Tosser Award. This week, also on BBC News, Mick Barton, Reform Nottinghamshire County Council leader, has been reported on by the local press in Nottinghamshire, the Nottingham Post and Nottinghamshire Live. They've been asking him questions about how successful his reorganisation is going to be, and some disquiet in his team. And in response to that probing, remember these guys are all free speech, right? They're all supposed to be open, transparent, free speech. You all get too offended too easily. Cancel culture. Does it ring any bells, right? So he gets asked a few questions, and in response to them, he says he will not allow misinformation to shape the narrative of our governance. He will not allow misinformation to shape the narrative of our governance. Really? Really, Mick? Are you sure about that? Have you checked it with top brass? Have you?
In a system of two-tier policing, I was being debanked. I was being made a non-person. I mean, you say the science is settled. Out there in the country, there is great scepticism about CO2 and climate change.
I will not allow misinformation to shape my governance. Well, fuck me in the throat with my father's dick. Is that refreshing? That's nice to hear. It's nice to hear, Mick. Mick Barton. Christ. You know, it's like, oi, lads, Reform aren't going to let lies into their politics anymore. You know, people are like, oh, well, what else are they going to do then? Honestly, I have no idea. So, the Nottingham Post and Not Live, websites, publications, newspapers, like local journalism, right? Basically, they reported, I think I've got this right, that some of Mick Barton's own staff had taken issue with his reorganisation. And he wanted to, interestingly enough, expand the council so it would gobble up 2 other areas, according to this. So he's reducing government with a twist. Like, small government, except for when I say so. And anyway, 2 of his also Reform subordinates, again, according to the Not Live journalists here, they weren't supportive of his plan. But then in response to that, they were threatened with suspension if they didn't vote for it. Because fascists are going to fascist, I guess, aren't they? I mean, what are you going to do? What are you going to do when a fascist asks you if you're with him or against him? Are you Team Mick or not, lads? You know, it's all about sovereignty, democracy, but it's also my way or the fucking highway. You fucking learner badges, you little cretins, you plebs. Do you want to go back to whatever your job was before the local elections? What were you doing? Oh well, I fixed bicycles in the local market. Right, okay. And what do you do now? Well, now I'm the head of the county council procurement, running 3 teams of 40 people. Right, okay. Well, do you want to go back to the market? No, not really. No. I'd much rather stay here. Right, okay. I'll do it. If you disobey me, if you vote against me, you can kiss head of council procurement, the 70 grand salary, the company car goodbye. There are a million other 19-year-olds who will do this job for me. Anyway, so the 2 guys who are allegedly threatened with suspension, the local news get wind of it. They asked the 2 guys for comment. They both sent back suspiciously identical or near identical responses to the journalist, almost as though somebody somewhere has told them what to say, trying to control the media narrative, not to let it get out of hand. They also ask this Mick Barton guy, who refuses to give his side of the story. He just says no comment. And then they're like, well, you know what? We've done our due diligence. We've asked them for a comment. We've given them notice. Like these are things that newspapers and publications have to do, right, ahead of time. They're like, we're about to go to print. This is a thing. Have you got any comment? Would you like to threaten us with legal action or create a super injunction? So they've done all of that. And then they do publish the piece anyway, on the 21st of August. And then on the 26th of August, like Mick Barton, Reform head of the council, he bans Not Live and Nottingham Post. He bans them. Just complete carpet ban from council matters and events. All of his staff are banned from speaking to these local journalists as well. It's like nobody's allowed to talk to them. None of them. They have no access. They're not allowed to attend council meetings. Nothing. Free speech. Cancel culture. Oh, they're so fucking amateur, aren't they? I think that's what gets me, is they're so fucking amateur. It's like, you know, what are they even going to be like in government? When they're like this with like local county council stuff. Do you know what I mean? That's right now, what are we talking about? We're talking about a car salesman handling an actually pretty uninteresting council vote impressively poorly. Is what we're doing. Like, it kind of makes you stand back and go, like, how have you managed to fuck up a boring story like this so badly. How has this become a big... It's on BBC News now. Why are people talking about it on podcasts, Mick? How have you messed this up? You know, if they're like this with council meeting matters and local journalists on Reach media sites that nobody fucking reads. I mean, I was sort of, reading through this stuff, researching it earlier. And I was saying on Twitter, I was just like, you know what? If you wanted to bury a secret, if you wanted to hide a secret anywhere, you should style it like a Reach media thing, have all the ads pop up and the cookie notice, and if people, nobody would find it. Nobody, even if they wanted to, they would never gain access to the actual website to consume that information. It's impossible. Anyway, so this is from their site. Let me just read this to you. Knots Live say, let us remember that this ban was apparently caused by an article on local government reorganisation. Right. In which we simply reported that some of Councillor Barton's group were unhappy with the position that he adopted, which is available for all to see on the public Facebook page of at least one reform councillor. So wait, hang on, a Facebook ban too, Mick? If it's seeable, if it's readable information, it's public on Facebook. Is that embarrassing? Are Facebook banned from the council meetings too, Mick? You know? Just how seriously are we taking misinformation and negative reporting? Because I promise you right now, Mick Barton, Facebook is a fountain of misinformation too. They say the article also included a claim that Reform's councillors in Nottinghamshire who do not end up voting for Councillor Barton's preference could be suspended from the group. The two councillors who are alleged to have made this comment were given ample opportunity before the article was published to deny the claim, as was Councillor Barton himself. None of them did. And then, just to round off, they say the news comes just a couple of months after friend of the show, Leanderthal, launched his own attack on Nottinghamshire Live for running too many negative stories about his party. In his case, it was because a Reform councillor by the name of Desmond Clark resigned days into his term, almost immediately. And I tried to find a reason why he quit basically immediately, but it just says a change in personal circumstances. And I was a bit like, a change in personal... I was like... What does that mean? Like you got a job as a Reform councillor? Because that is a change in personal circumstances, isn't it? That is, like what happened? Like he got elected as a Reform councillor, and he looked around himself. He's just like, oh no! Look at me! No, what have I become? Because there was a lot of talk. There were a couple of instances reported where people were being fielded as Farage and Tice's candidates. They had no idea that they might actually be in with a chance of winning. They thought they were just like 3D humanoid billboards for Reform, right? Just somebody to have on the podium on the night. Somebody knocking around campaigning for Reform. And then when they found out that they won, there was these reports of them being briefed out where they were like, I can't afford to be a fucking councillor. I have a job already. I've got a mortgage. I'm out. I quit immediately. So maybe he was one of them. I don't know. But the guy resigns, and this triggers an immediate by-election. And Lee Anderson, a bleached Frankenstein here, is asked if it's value for money. If his party should have maybe had their house in order ahead of time, put a candidate up who would actually serve the community that they were elected to serve rather than immediately bailing out. Because by-elections, if you've got to immediately jump into a by-election, it's a lot of money. And it all goes back, it's costed back to the local authority. So you're depriving, fucking another hired nurse or a social care facility or something. So Leanderthal was asked what his thoughts were and if Reform should have had their house in order. And his response to Knots Live was to dismiss and disparage the same publication and take the piss out of journalists, suggesting it's not a proper job, that they're going to have to go and get a proper job, which I think that actually might be my favourite bit out of this, because, on the off chance that you've forgotten, as indeed it appears to have escaped Anderson on that afternoon. Anderson himself works for a fucking news station. That's what makes it so ridiculous. You know, he hosts a show on GB News. He works with and for journalists on a day-to-day basis. He's actually paid more by GB News on six figures than he is as a fucking MP. He's like, that's... Fuck the journalist. It's not a real job. It is actually your real job, Lee. It truly is. It seems to be paying your mortgage quite well, son. Anyway, Mick Barton, former car salesman, now leader of Nottinghamshire County Council, for refusing to give comment to the paper, then chastising them for controlling a narrative you didn't do much yourself to shape, alluding to misinformation while you, yourself, and your wider party all swim in internet disinformation and conspiracy. Please take a bow. You are this week's tap dancing tosser.
Well, that's absolutely pathetic.
Just another